join me on a conversation today with Kanak Gupta that see education as a very broad thing. He sees education as the way to change the society as a whole, and not only the student and the school. So I'm sure you're gonna love it. It's an unbelievable story about a person that went to Purdue, became a consultant, and then decided to come back to India to become an educator and pretty much driving an empire in tier two and tier three cities in India. Enjoy. Hi, Kanak. How are you? Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, Ami. How are you?
Mhm. I'm very well, very well. So, Kanak, the first question I always ask and I always start my interviews with is, how did you become an educator?
A very tough question, and something that a lot of people have asked me, and I love answering it all the time as an educator. So I'm not an educator who was forced to become an educator. I became an educator by choice. I lived, I'm born and brought up in Calcutta, and Calcutta is a big city in India. I was lucky to go to some of the best schools, colleges. I did an MBA from Purdue University in USA. I'd love to talk about the journey there as well. I was working as a management consultant, but there was something in me that wanted to come back to India. I wanted to work in the social sphere. I used to live in London 6 years. I lived as a management consultant. But every time I'd come to India, I thought that this is the land where I need to be. This is a place where I need to be. And education is a field I need to be working in. And and I started going to schools, colleges, talking to students, to teachers, what more can be done. And this is very interesting. I'd gone to an institute, and I was typically, when you're younger, you are more aggressive, right? So I told some of the faculty members that there's not enough that you're doing, and you guys aren't fulfilling the promise made to the students. And then they said that it's very easy being on the other side. Come back here and see what you can do. And yeah, so I joined an institute, Jaipuria Institute of Management in Dror. I started it off, ground up. And then I wanted to create a bigger impact and moved into the school space. We decided to start schools with St. Emma Jaipuria Schools, and now we're running about close to 70 schools in the country.
Okay, so that's a very not typical story. So you go to Purdue,
Mhm.
you become, you start working in management consulting, which is pretty much kind of you're supposed to become like a very wealthy banker at the end.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of what is accepted of you. But then you're saying like my heart is not there. I'm going. I want to go follow my heart. Funny enough, yesterday I recorded a podcast about Gandhi in Hebrew, trying to explain the Gandhi legacy. And there is this moment when the Gandhi comes back to from South Africa to India, and people tell him like you should actually wander around the country, like you say, before you actually can become like move to the other side before you think you can give us advices. So fascinating. When you were in Purdue, what did you think you'll do when you grow up?
So my going to Purdue was also by accident. Yeah, so I found it. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. The family is a family of entrepreneurs. So no one's in education, and I used to do theater. I founded a theater company way back in school and college. It's still running. I got thrown out of it by my wife and one of my closest friends because I wasn't doing enough theater after a point. But Theatrician happens to be the most prolific English theater group in India, and it was because of Theatrician and theater that I got a scholarship at Purdue. So I had like no managerial instinct at all at that time. At Purdue, I thought that, what others told me is the vision, is the dream that, you need to have a big house in the countryside, and you need to drive fast cars. But I think what I wanted to do was impact. I think that that ability to make sure that you can take the society somewhere else. That is what the key driver has been for me. And yeah, that's what I did.
Well, I can fully associate with you. My first job, was my second actually, was in the cinema business. I had like a cinema company, so not theater, but it's like a very rounded experience. So you come back to India, you do your training, then they say, you cross to the other side where we're talking about running a single school. I would guess at the beginning, right? You need to start with one. Are you part of the team that starts the first one?
Yeah. So, I started with Jaipuria Institute of Management. I started, funnily enough, in higher education. And I was a full-time faculty. I was teaching organizational behavior. I was teaching strategy. I was managing a lot of administrative tasks, including student affairs and admissions and whatnot. And Shrivas Jaipuria, his family name is what we've taken forward with Jaipuria Institute of Management. Good friend and colleague of mine. And him and I were talking about as to, we've made the management institutes. We run 4 management institutes, and we made that successful. And we said that we need to create a bigger impact in the country. And well, Srivat's a great entrepreneur as well. And we talked about various opportunities in ed tech, and then we said that schools is where we need to be, because the greatest impact can come through schools. And funnily enough, at that time, we went to so many management consultants, both of us together, and everyone said that big cities and you need to go outside of India and whatever. And we said that, well, whatever the consultant says, you have to do the absolute opposite. So we said we'll go to the tier 2, tier 3 cities of India. We'll go to the smaller places where the opportunity for impact is higher, where the bulk of the growth would come from. And I promise you, if you've not been to tier 2, tier 3 India, it is magnificent. The aspiration level of the students is outstanding. The way the parents groom their children is brilliant. There's so much love there, and there is so much learning, because you would have heard this typical Indian word jugaad. That jugaad is brilliant there, and there is so much entrepreneurial spirit there. So yeah, my heart and life is in tier 2, tier 3 India.
And yeah, it's the place, I think, where you'll find the drive, the passion to become one, right? Maybe not a tier 1, but to grow, to fulfill your potential. So tell me about the first school, right? You start with the first one, or did you start with many? Did you start with only one?
Yeah, we started with one. With one. The first school. So, Srivats's family has been running, Jaipuria family has been running education institutes for a while, but they've been standalone. And when we started the first school in Lucknow, we didn't know what we were doing, to be honest. We thought that just because we've gone to a school, we have all ideas, expertise about how the school works. But to give parents confidence, to give students that confidence, to attract the quality of faculty, it was a tough task. Like, the brick and mortar part is the easy part of it, right? The real part, the real effort is as to what is the value add, what is the proposition that you're bringing as an educator to the school, and to make people understand that and deliver that year on year. That's the tough part. So the first school was obviously the toughest. The first school was obviously it's the closest to our hearts as well, probably. But it's been a journey now. Now we've been doing expansion schools for 11 years. This is besides the family legacy schools, which have been running now for almost 7 decades.
Wow. So you have many teachers, right? Many teachers, many principals. You run a huge organization. What are the qualities that you were looking for when you're hiring? I know you don't hire per se personally, but I'm sure you have a vision in the hiring. What are you looking for in your educators?
So yeah, you rightly said that we have a large organization now. We're in 70 schools, about 46 cities, 6 states in India, and we have a collective educator strength of, we did the count just now, it's about 2,756. They brought to me some sheets, and so I remember the number top of my head. It's very important for us that we find the right people to work with us, who believe in the vision of impacting the country, who believe that a school's job is societal development and not just transaction of education. I think that's a very big thing. You'll find it very surprising, and we've now done away with looking at qualifications on CVs. We don't ask people questions like, how much percentage marks did you get and what grade did you get. We don't, yes, the past is important. We do ask them about, their journey, but we ask them more about stories about what they want to do in the future, how they wish to interact with students, what is the kind of learning they do for themselves, how does technology come into the play, what kind of pedagogy they use or they would like to use, are they open to training or not. These are the typical questions that we ask teachers, and it is driven more with that rather than just being like, okay, so you got 80% marks, so we will hire you, and if you don't have 95%, then, like, it's nothing like that. So it's, for us, it's very important. The qualities of teachers we look forward to is empathy is a very, very big thing that drives the entire organization. As a value system, empathy is very important for us. We look forward to a lot of integrity in everything that teachers do. We look forward to a lot of innovation that the teachers would have brought to the classroom, to the entire process. We look at journeys of teachers as well, as to what they are looking for it for themselves, because not every teacher is cut out to be an administrator, but every administrator should have some idea about how transaction in a classroom happens, because I have so much respect for teachers, the kind of emotions that they deal with. Like, imagine a 2000 student school. You have 2000 students, you have typically 4,000 parents. You're dealing with close to 20,000 emotions on an every single day. So that's what the teachers go through. Hats off to every educator in the world who does things like that. So yeah, for us, the degrees don't matter, the person matters. So in the human resource element for us, the human is important. Resource, I think our training programs are strong enough, we'll take care of it.
I honestly fully agree with you. I think this is really the core, especially when your vision is to change society. You want people to be active as change makers, part of society, and for that, you're right, it's all those skills. Now let's go to the children's level. You met a lot of kids, right? And I'm sure you meet kids, when they are in school. Is there a advice that you tend to give to students when you see them? You're a very successful person, like I'm sure, and they can be young, they can be 5-year-old, or they can be 18 before going to college. What is like your kind of favorite advices to give students?
So, on a lighter note, I started doing a weekly blog called Kanak Uncle Speaks, because I've come to that age in life where people have started calling me uncle. So I do a lot of advice
Same.
based on do a lot of advice based on what all I have learned in life, and I continue learning. I think that's an important thing. Experience is important. Uh, the student set that we work with is the most brilliant student set, because they don't want to listen to anyone. So they don't look forward to advice. Rather, they look forward to sharing their advice about how everything that you're doing is wrong. But one standard advice I have for everyone is try not to follow others. Try figure out, individualize, internalize a lot. Be open to experiences and engagement. This is what, be it 5, be it 18. This is my standard advice to everyone. It's interesting when students from our B schools, and when we deal with say headships of the school, principals, etc., then the advice is more serious, where they listen to you or they ask you for advice. But school students, they are so smart, they're so sharp, and we give them that platform where they can do whatever they want. uh, I think it's important to give them, like, sort of that free play environment throughout their school lives. It helps them become better people.
It reminds me, a couple of years ago, I was invited to give a lecture in a very fancy school, full house, couple of thousands of students. I'm coming as the person. The first thing I'm telling them, okay, the first advice I have for you is everything that I'm about to tell you, just forget it. It's completely useless. Everything that your teachers and your principal are telling you, completely useless. Now I see the faces of like everybody in the audience, and the educators, and I actually believe in it. Like I think the point is that you want to receive advices from people that you respect, but you always need to question them in order to grow beyond them. So, etc. So, another question that I'm always concerned with is your schools are very good schools, right? And therefore the parents that send their kids to your school are usually those very active parents. Some of them are like helicopter parents. Some of them. How do you deal with parents that while you come and say to the kids, do whatever you want, then they go back home and there is a parent telling them, oh, you need to get like a perfect mark in math. That's it. I don't care about anything else. How do you balance it, or how do you pass to the teacher, to the parents, this vision of allness that you're is clearly part of your organization?
So, it's an excellent way to start this conversation about parents. We look at parents as true partners in the teaching learning process, and we genuinely do parent workshops where we have very open conversations with parents. We talk about our value system. We talk about how the child is improving within our system, and trying to find themselves. There's a lot of resistance always, and India is a society that focuses a lot on marks and grades. A 99.5% isn't good enough. 100% is the ultimate thing that everyone wants. So we believe that engaging parents more, talking to them more about what their child can do and should be doing. Don't get me wrong. I think getting those marks are very important for a lot of people. But I might not be the right person for the marks. I might not be the right person for getting those marks. Someone else might be the right person for getting those marks as a student. So we try to figure out what is that X factor that the student has. How can that student, if the student has to become a musician or a cricketer, or in today's world, the most popular one, become a YouTuber. Every student wants to become, every young person wants to become that. We want to give them those opportunities, and we show it to the parents that, well, we've provided these opportunities to your child. How is your child progressing in every aspect? If the child is not progressing in academia, what is it that the child needs to focus on? Let's try to focus on the strengths. Let's not look at the weaknesses. And that has been the biggest problem of our education system. If, for example, my English is poor, my school should not focus on my being poor in English. My school should focus on what is my strength. Is my strength mathematics? Is my strength chemistry? Is my strength cricket? Is my strength skating? Is my strength, mimicry? Whatever be it. Let's try to focus on my strengths rather than only on my weaknesses. The weaknesses can improve. The strengths can become stronger as well. So we have this conversation with parents on a regular basis. And initially we found a lot of resistance where the parents were like, this is how it's typically happened. It's always happened and it will not change. We accepted a lot of feedback from parents. We involved the parents in the teaching learning processes as well, because the most of the parents of today's generation are the parents who were themselves students in the 80s or the 90s. Well, there was a different conditioning as students that they have. And we respect that. We appreciate it that they're coming from that mindset. We are not looking at changing the parents. What we are doing is we are sensitizing the parents towards what could be the future, which honestly, none of us know what it is about. No one knows what the future is going to be, what kind of careers these kids would have. I don't know if these kids would work at an Amazon or destroy an Amazon or create another Amazon. It's that kind of society that we live in. So yeah, we engage the parents more.
Yeah, it's like the jobs of the future that the children will work at were not invented yet, and go
Yes.
explain it to people as you develop the future. And also this concept that a lot of the parents had like one career or two careers, right? And then you need to explain to them that it's extremely likely that your children will have multiple careers because of the way technology evolves, and it's different. This entire concept of working together. So I want to just ask you one more question, but I want to help you zoom. I took something that I never heard before, that you said before, that you are looking to change society, right? Normally when you speak with a school, they're looking to impact their kids, maybe their close proximity to society, but you're talking in a big different scale. You're trying to change society of part of India, let's call it this way. So what is the future for your organization? Where do you think you guys will be in as many years as you want to discuss?
So we genuinely look at every organization as being infinite, and we believe that there is going to be infinity in everything that we do. We've never rested on our laurels. We've never rested on the kind of feedback that we receive and the acclaim that we get. It's good to be recognized as a school for greater good in the world. University of Berkeley calls us that. We understand all of this and we take it with a pinch of salt. When someone says that, oh, you're doing so great, whatever, I take it with a pinch of salt that great. But because there is so much more to do. We always keep the student at the center of the teaching learning process, but we understand that we have so many stakeholders: the parents, the teachers, the non-teaching staff at the school, the management, administrators, the society at large, our vendors. Uh, if we benefit each and every stakeholder, we believe that the society becomes better. It becomes a more inclusive society. It becomes a more inquisitive society, which improves rather than just resting on things that traditionally have been considered very good. Like traditionally, we've all considered money to be very good. We've considered big cars to be very good, big houses to be very good. They're very good. They're very important, but they're not the end all and be all. You have to look at things beyond, and that's the kind of values that we are trying to inculcate into every stakeholder, and not just our students. That's how we impact the society. We get so happy when other schools imbibe what we do. Like, for example, the value driver for us is a very interesting word, and coming from India, it's an even more interesting word called SPICE, where S stands for sustainability, P is possibility, I is integrity, C is collaboration, and E is empathy. And we talk about it very openly. We share it with every educator. And when a school, which is typically a competitive school to us, tries to imbibe the same values, we feel very happy about it, because that essentially means that they are open to change and we are open to change as well. We can learn from them. We can learn a lot of their processes and a lot of their philosophies as well. And that essentially would grow the society better, right? Like, when I came back to India, at that time, a lot of my friends, my family members, they questioned that, why would you want to come back? And, it's a developed, I was living in London, which is probably the greatest city in the world. And everyone said that, why would you want to come back from London? And I believe in India. I believe in what my country is doing, and the kind of impact that I would be able to leave behind. That is what excites me, because, yeah, what else but impact?
Well, Uncle Kanak, you just won another big fan, which is me. It's truly amazing. I'm actually looking forward to actually visiting your schools. I'm very
Please come.
I will for sure, because I do believe, I always did, as an entrepreneur that shifted purely to education. I believe that if you change education, you change the world, and you're clearly doing it. So thank you for everything you're doing, and it was a real pleasure to interview you.
Absolute pleasure talking to you, and you're very kind. That invitation stands for you any day. Please do come. I'm sure we'll only gain from your coming and talking to our students, our teachers, everyone.
I'll try.
Looking forward.
Thank you very much.
My
Bye.
pleasure. My pleasure.